So, Alexis, I got in trouble. Did you hear about this?
I'm worried you're going to get in trouble clinking your coins.
I got in trouble because I was spied by Mr. Stacking himself over at Tim Marsher's coin shop in Manchester, New Hampshire.
Doing bad things.
And boy, did I get a lot of trouble for it. So a lot of people who watched that excellent video of Yankees, not because I was in it, just because all his videos are excellent, and of course Tim was in it. A lot of people who watched that video thought that I was being a little reckless or a little bit cavalier carrying around gold coins. Yes.
You might just stop with that sound so you don't upset everyone and people can hear you better.
I think they like the sound. I just don't think they like the cavalierness.
Oh.
All right, so I want to be very clear. I'm not doing this to be a cavalier or to be a show-off or anything else. All right, my reasons for taking coins with me when I'm traveling or on the road or walking around town is, one, I do like to distribute my wealth in lots of different places. Okay, and on my person is one of those places. I'm 6'3". I weigh 220, 230 on a good day, bad day, whatever.
Depending on how you look at that.
I can defend myself. I'm a muscly guy. I'm always walking around with at least 1, 2, sometimes 5 weapons on my person. So
I wasn't even aware of that. Let's just go with 1.
Sure, 1. But I'm fully prepared to defend myself if I run into any problems. That's number 1, right? Number 2 is there's an inflection point in our society where people, I think, have to start deciding, are you going to stand around or sit around quietly and let things happen, or are you going to take action? And too many very good people have not taken enough action. And the unfortunate thing is there's a proverb, I think it's Russian, and I'm paraphrasing it, and it goes, the tallest blades of grass or blades of wheat are cut by the scythe first. There's truth in that too. That being said, if no one stands up, if none of us blades of grass try to grow toward the sky, what does our world really look like, right? I think there's a time now to take a lot of things in politics and economics much, much more seriously than any of us have in our entire lifetimes. Certainly the entire time I've been alive. Things have never been more unstable and dangerous than they are today. Right now, today. I feel very strongly about that. So when I am talking to people about precious metals, it's one thing to talk. Talk is cheap. I can say, oh yeah, consider buying gold, consider buying silver, consider buying whatever. And sure, I can talk about the reasons why you should do it. The correlation in negative interest rates, the sovereign debt crisis, overvaluation of real estate and stocks, fine. But when I take one of these and I hand it to somebody and I say, this is gold, look at this. Hold it in your hand. Think about getting one of these, because it might be sometime in the future, 2 years from now, 10 years from now, who knows, this might be the one thing that can guarantee your passage out of, let's say, a hostile country. This can be the one thing that can guarantee that your family eats for 2 or 3 or 6 months. Okay? I take this very seriously. All right? There are a lot of things that have gone on in the last 100, 150 years, just massive, horrible things of human suffering. And one of the reasons why, I strongly believe this, one of the reasons why is because we've turned away from sound money. We've turned control of a lot of financial transactions to people and institutions who do not have the best interest of individual citizens of the United States at heart. Right?
Amen.
This is our antidote to that. It's one of the antidotes. There are a lot, but this is one, and this is the key economic antidote. So I feel very importantly about talking to people about this, about having serious conversations about it. And you can ask all my friends. I've probably at some point or another pulled out an ounce of gold and then said, hey, take a look at this. And I give away gold and silver, oftentimes for wedding presents or for birthday presents. My poor sister, I feel horrible for her. She hasn't gotten a non-precious metal gift for the last 3 years.
You're the only one that doesn't feel horrible for her for that. You're like, one day, this is going to be the best thing you've ever gotten. I don't believe you feel horrible for her. But she probably feels horrible about it, and everyone else does.
So
I'm just kidding.
So it's not to show off. It's not to proselytize. It's not because I don't take precious metals very seriously. I think they are very precious, and I'll go even further and say that I think precious metals are as Robert Kiyosaki said it. He said God created it and the devil distributed it. Right? It's God's money. I'd go a step further and I'd say it's not to get too religious or anything per se, but it's God's gift to mankind. It's what God gave us to peaceably work together and have fairness among ourselves, have a strong economy among ourselves, to encourage production, to encourage savings, to encourage economic cooperation. This is what we are given.
Yeah, cooperation was the word. I was just thinking,
Right.
like, basically to cooperate. Now, and that being said, I just want to add on, if I can, that I do think there's something about the tangibility of handing it to someone and saying, I'm not just saying this, like, I am personally invested in this, no pun intended, you know. But
Right.
I think it does move people a little more. It's a little more impactful when they have something they can actually hold in their hands. And I think a lot of people are, even people who are not numismatic, I think they still have an appreciation for the metal and the design on various coins.
Yeah.
So.
I think it was David Morgan who said at some point it's kind of hardwired into our DNA as a species. And I thought it was funny he used the word species because then gold and silver are species, right?
No pun intended.
Maybe
intended.
Who knows? But I don't think it's hardwired into our DNA. I think it's more of a one of those ideas of the collective unconscious, kind of this Jungian idea, or maybe even sort of a Platonic form if you want to go there. There's a philosophy, a philosophical underpinning, a cultural underpinning, and who knows, maybe there's some biological underpinning as well, that really keeps human beings attracted to, and it does bring out greed, but not just attracted to, but respectful of gold and silver as money, and of metals as money, and their function and purpose. Copper too. Yeah, maybe even platinum and palladium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I'm just going to toss this out there because I imagine a lot of people viewing this might have this thought, okay, well, that's all great. And I think a lot of people probably agree with that. But then they would stop at well, you can do all those things without putting yourself on camera and showing your wealth.
Sure.
So I'm just curious, like, what do you think about that? I mean, I personally don't feel all that concerned about it because we're not disclosing personal details about ourselves. But I just wonder
we could get doxed eventually, but
I just wonder what you think of that.
do I think it's not necessary? I guess technically you're right. It's not necessary. Plenty of stackers don't show their faces, and there's good reason for that. And being private makes a lot of sense. Different people have different tolerances. Yeah. Yeah. What I find the advantage of, okay, fine, if you don't show your face in videos, you can avoid doing that. But at the same time, if you can make that personal connection with people, I think having your face is very good. I mean, just think about Tim. People love Tim. You know, well, in a different way. I mean, we all love Yankee stacking, but they probably can more easily connect with Tim in some ways because they can see his face. And, you know, Yankee has this thing. He promised his wife he'd never show his face. And I totally understand that. I completely respect it. It makes a lot of sense. And you know, again, they have different tolerances. But Tim, you know, everyone knows where his shop is. Everyone knows where he goes every day. They don't just know his face and his location. He's, I actually don't know his age off the top of my head, but he's a guy in his 70s-ish. You know, and he's going to work every day. He's got a publicly listed address, so everybody can track his movements. Mm-hmm. I mean, if Tim's not in danger, you know, or if you guys aren't worried about Tim, then I don't see why you'd be so worried about me. And I guess you can argue, well, Tim's moving inventory all the time, and sure, okay, I get that. But at the same time, he's always got something laying around. True. Right? And on top of that, I guess the one other thing is, you know, bringing your face on. I'm actually much more concerned about you than I am for myself.
Me?
You know, yeah, because you always get these concerns like, you know, people can be taken hostage or other bad things can happen. And I don't want you guys to think I'm cavalier about Alexis's safety. There are a lot of safeguards that I'm not going to get into the detail of, but they involve a whole hell of a lot of cameras, a whole hell of a lot of tracking devices, satellite phones, satellite capacity, this, that, and the other, as well as this girl has a lot of common sense. And she may or may not at any time be carrying at least one weapon on her.
So I have my own license. I think, you know, we were both asked individually if we were comfortable with this. So, you know, I am my own person. I appreciate your concern for my safety, but I feel like I am...
I think they're more concerned than I am.
That's true. I appreciate the concern for our safety, I guess
Yeah.
I should say, to you, the viewer. But I feel comfortable with our decision to connect, I guess, face-to-face with the viewers.
Yeah. And honestly, at the end of the day, if it ever becomes too hot, there are a lot of great countries out there where nobody's ever going to see us.
We're out of here.
Belize is a great place to go. There's the Isle of Man. There's there are lots of places. Okay.
I like Belize because they speak English and they transact in U.S. dollars.
Right. And
You probably don't like that.
well, there are also many shacks in the middle of the desert. Many shacks in the middle of the mountains.
Oh no, no. I don't
Lots
wanna
of
go to those
places. So if things ever become too rough, you know where
to
I'll be.
not find us.
Except, actually, I was about to say, you don't know where I'll be because I'll be gone.
Yeah.
Yep. So I appreciate everyone out there who's concerned about my safety, and I appreciate some of the criticism is fine too. I see where you guys are coming from. It totally makes sense. I just don't want you to think that I'm being cavalier about anything.
There's one more thing.
Yeah.
People were upset that you were going to damage your coins, and I feel like you had a point about that some of the coins are less likely to be...
Yeah, well,
scraped.
these are all 22 karat coins. They're all getting little scratches and things. The coppers, the Krugerrands are alloyed with copper, and they're not quite as gold colored. But you can throw these things down from a 20-story high rise. Not that I have. And they're going to be just fine. And the American Eagles, they have a little less copper and a little more silver alloyed with them, so you do get little nicks and scratches on them. Maybe that diminishes the value. I have Eagles that I carry around for personal use and demonstration purposes, but I don't... you want to take a look at them? See the nicks and dings? I have some Eagles that I carry around for demonstration purposes and stuff, but I also have a whole bunch of Eagles in mostly in depositories that are in mint condition. So... some percentage of my stack is going to be a little dinged up, and maybe I'll lose 1%, 2% under spot for it. Okay, I mean, that's cost of doing business. It's also the cost of carrying this stuff around. Even the cost, silver looks pretty bad after a time. Well, if you're going to store your silver in any place that doesn't have humidity control and a whole bunch of other things, and deoxygenated packets, like, you're going to get some toning from that too. So, I mean, the precious metals, they're going to generally retain their value. You could have some dealers or some people who turn their nose up at little dings and things like that, and a little bit of toning with silver. But for the most part, I'm not really too worried about it.
All right, well, I think this is going to be an interest. We'll see what people say. I think this is going to be an interesting video. I imagine people have some thoughts and feelings they'll want to share.
Mea culpa. Please forgive me.
Hopefully it's not too brutal, but yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll let you finish this off, as it is your thoughts, not mine.
These are my precious thoughts for now. Until next time, see you later.